Bill Henshaw here again for the Constitutional Crisis Channel. Today's topic, another one on November 22nd, is one that most of you come in contact with at some point in time, although I personally never have, and that's the summons for jury duty. Interesting stuff, because, if you're like me, if you're a lawful day jury, free white state citizen, you never get called for jury duty because they draw the jury pools from, guess where? The motor voter lists. And I'm neither a person, quote-unquote, required to have a driver's license, nor can I even fill out a voter registration form, because you have to declare under penalty of perjury that you owe your quote-unquote citizenship to Section 1 of the non-existent 14th War Amendment. That makes it impossible. So therefore, I'm a non-entity. I'm invisible to this government. They don't even know I'm there. And that's not a bad thing in some ways. But I can't get on a jury, and I'm one of the ones, if you're a defense attorney, you're going to want me on there because I'm going to find your client not guilty, and I don't give a damn what happened or did not happen, because I know these territorial tribunals don't have any jurisdiction here. They don't even in a quote-unquote civil case, although these days I'm now taking the position there are no civil cases. Because what they've done is invoke federal, regional, martial law rule against us. At common law, that's known as a trespass viet armis, by force of arms. And I think all of the cases now, for that reason, are criminal ones. So that said, this issue of lack of jurisdiction is a biggie. I've said it in other videos. I'm going to repeat it here because it's so important. The case is called Tully, T-U-L-L-E-Y, versus United States, 140 Federal Reporter, 899, page 905, where the federal judge, in dismissing an indictment for murder against the accused, said, and I quote exactly here, that it's better that a murderer should go unwhipped of justice than that a court without jurisdiction should exercise it. That's the way it should be today, too. A lot more adherence to your oath of office, to the Constitution of the United States. That's what this judge did. This guy walked free because of it. It's a story I've related in an earlier video, and I'll put that one in the notes below. You can look that up, and I'll talk more about Tully there. But that's how important that is. So that said, I've had a friend request that I draft a document for him he can submit to the jury commissioner explaining that he does not want to be involved in getting on any juries of any kind and the reasons for it. If you want to get out of it, you can do that, and I'll have a copy of this available, probably free to the first 50 people that respond, and $4.95 thereafter, and you can send it to your local jury commissioner and say, I'm out of here. I'm going to be disqualified by the DA anyway when they hear I'm going to vote everybody not guilty, so there's no point in even going through the exercise. So that said, I'm going to make a suggestion here on a movie you might want to see. It's an oldie but goodie, black and white from the late 1950s, with good old G.A.F. Henry Fonda on there, not to be confused with his daughter Hanoi Jane. And the movie is called The 12 Angry Men. It's a movie directed by Sidney Lumet, who was one of the best directors ever, in black and white, and it's astounding. And it's about an hour and a half, and it goes behind the scenes with the jury and investigates, when they're in that jury room debating what it is they're supposed to be doing and the kind of arguments. And this is the best example. See, they should be shown this, as far as I'm concerned, in the 7th or 8th grade. If I had seen that when I was in school at the time, a light goes on there. And my whole life is different from that point on, because I realized the power we have. Because they can't tell us, as members of the jury, what the law is. They can't tell us what decision to make. It doesn't work that way, and it hasn't worked that way for 400 years. I've got a book on that by a friend of mine that I think's passed away now, Godfrey Lehman, called The Ordeal of Edward Bushell, B-U-S-H-E-L-L. It's a very fine book to get a copy of, and it talks about the trial of William Penn in London when he got tried for holding religious services outside on the street when the king closed up the church and they couldn't get in there. Well, they couldn't get the jury to convict him, and the story in this book of just what happened here, it's the basic beginnings of the history of the jury trial here and what it's supposed to be. Not the crap you see going on in these trial courts today, especially the OJ trial. And there's another one, by the way, I would have found not guilty, not for the reason that the racist jurors did, in my opinion, but because the court didn't have jurisdiction. I personally thought, for what it's worth, he was probably as guilty as sin there. But it doesn't matter, because the court was without jurisdiction. And that's where we have to draw the line and say this far and no farther. And we're going to stop the bastards. If they can't get their criminal laws executed because they can't either get jurors, or the jurors are going to acquit, accused, this puts them out of business. This is the way we can do it. So at one and the same time, I'm going to encourage most of you to go on jury duty and relay some of this information to the jurors when you get in the jury room and are deliberating the case. But for those of you who, for one reason or another, might want to go the other way, at least for the moment, this document will be available, and you can turn it into your jury commissioner and ask him to take a look at my YouTube videos and see the reasons why this is so. And if he has any response to it, I'd love to hear it. Thank you.